Hi, sixth graders. It's nice to be back with you today. Now, this video is for those who need help on their conclusion. I talked through it on the Friday Zoom that I had, so if you were on there with me, then you probably don't need to watch this because we kind of talked through all of yours, but you can also watch it again just to get a better idea. Just like your introduction, your conclusion needs to be well thought out. You need to really understand what your person went through, their life, their contributions, their failures even, and their successes. And so I put up here to be an expert. You need to be able to talk through the impact their life had on the world without looking at your sources. When I did this for Jean McNamara, the only thing I looked up was the specific title she was given, which is down here. Dame Commander of the Order of the British Empire. It was kind of long, so I double checked. But everything else I did from memory. And I don't think I've been going through my research as much as you guys have, because I'm not writing the full paper. I'm just getting your intro and conclusion for you. So please be an expert. Be able to... I hope that you have an understanding. Hopefully you chose the person because you were inspired by them or you wanted to learn about them, and you just become full of more respect for the person after researching their life and seeing what they went through. That's where you get to really share your thoughts. Now again, you can't use I or me or, I feel that they really set an example or they're an inspiration to me. We're not doing that, but there are ways to say those things without putting I or me or my. Okay, so we'll talk about that. So your conclusion is 3 parts. First of all, you're going to restate your topic sentence in a new way. Don't worry about the colors. I'm not too interested or worried about those. Let me make this bold too. So you want to go back to that topic sentence. And if you remember, your topic sentence is what they are known for. And I'm going to read to you my topic sentence from my introduction video because I don't want it to be identical to this next sentence, but I want it to be similar, okay? Because you're reminding the reader what the person you wrote about is known for, right? Okay, so here was my topic sentence from my introduction. Jean McNamara's contributions during the polio epidemic during 1937 to 1938 led to the discovery that there was more than one strain of the virus and aided those rehabilitating from the virus. Okay, or the effects of polio. So now I'm going to restate it. I'm saying it in a different way. In conclusion, so don't forget your transition word. To sum up, in closing, ultimately, overall, those are all good. In conclusion, McNamara saved lives through her tireless work and greatly improved the quality of life for those who contracted polio. That's not too hard to say. I came up with some other examples just real quickly for a couple of years. Somebody's doing Albert Einstein, and of course he's known for the theory of relativity and E equals mc squared. So assuming that's what the student put in their introduction, they could say that Albert Einstein, in the conclusion, changed the way that we look at science, because that's true. For Walt Disney, obviously he's known for creating the Disney Empire and movies and the theme parks. So on the conclusion side of that, somebody could say in conclusion, Walt Disney created a whole new world of characters and family entertainment. And yes, that is a nod to Aladdin, right? A whole new world. There's somebody doing Helen Keller, and she was a young girl who was blind and deaf, and she learned how to read and write. She actually became an excellent writer because she was trained and she went to school, but she had to work very, very hard. So we could put on the conclusion side that she led the way, or she was a pioneer for those with disabilities, that they can live normal lives. So that's just a couple of ideas. You just want to say what your person did in a different way. I should be able to take your conclusion and intro and put them side by side, and you're not going to have the same phrases or definitely not the same wording, but it's going to be the same idea. Okay, so let's move on. This next one's probably the hardest, and it's probably the hardest of the whole paper. You're going to touch on your 4 topics, or the 4, topic sentences for the whole paper, and that's the one in front of every paragraph. To begin, mine was Jean McNamara had a normal childhood and upbringing, right? And then I think my second one is she focused on becoming helpful in the fight for polio. I forget what I chose for that one. But because what we're essentially doing is connecting the dots of their lives that led to the contribution they made, we need to do that in a sentence. So I don't know enough about really any other person that you've been researching to do that, so I'm just going to do it for mine. And I'm going to highlight where I talk about her early life, her middle life, her later life, and her accomplishments. Okay? So my first sentence was, in conclusion, Jean McNamara saved lives through her tireless work and greatly improved the quality of life for those who contracted polio. Her love for learning in school, so that's her early life. And I'm not saying in her early life she loved to learn, although that's not terrible. But I'm trying not to be so obvious, but you guys can do that, that's fine. Her love for learning in school and helping others drove her to become a doctor. Now for me, that's still her early life because she did a lot of schooling. She dedicated much of her career to finding treatments to ease the suffering of those afflicted with polio. So I could do this. And she did. That's her middle life. Even though not all of these were successful, they led to the discovery that there was more than one strain of virus, and she was awarded the title, it's a long title, Dame Commander of the Order of the British Empire for her services to the welfare of children in 1935. I really can't summarize that in any other way. That's the title that she received. She, because kids were specifically vulnerable to polio and they suffered more, especially from physical paralysis, she just really focused her efforts into making it as comfortable for them as possible, or to help them recover as much as possible. So this would be her accomplishments. And you don't have to do this on yours. I'm just pointing out to you. And then she worked tirelessly for the children of Australia up until her death. I don't remember if I said it in a video or in a Zoom, but she kind of ignored her own health and died maybe a little sooner than she should have, because she was just out in rural Australia serving the community. So this one's the hardest. I had to kind of sit at my computer for a while, really think about her life, and connect the pieces, because you want this section to flow. Doesn't have to be one super long sentence. I think mine is 2, 3. And that's fine. It's not going to be, you don't need 4 sentences because it's reflecting on 4 sentences. You can, but I connected. It's almost like these couple sentences here are a summary of the life of your person. You've just written 5 long paragraphs or 4 paragraphs detailing their life. Well, now you're going to sum it up quickly in these 4 sentences. So you want to just kind of touch on their beginning, their middle, later, and then their accomplishments. Now, if your person suffered some kind of maybe injustice or failures, difficulties, that's definitely connected to their successes. So you can say, even though, like in Walt Disney's case, he had to file for bankruptcy in one of his first companies, that didn't stop him from becoming perhaps the most successful, I don't know what you might say, entrepreneur or businessman of all time, even after his death, right? We all know who Walt Disney is. He's a household name. He's known in every country in the world. So I would definitely connect some kind of trial or hardship that they had to the success they have now. All right, and then the last part is your concluding wrap it up. I can definitely be more than 1 sentence. I recommend it be more than 1 sentence. This is where you get to really talk about what your person did for the world, what an inspiration they are. Are they a role model? So I give you some examples down here, but let me read mine. Overall, Jean McNamara demonstrated the difference a person can make in the world by putting others' needs first. She used her medical knowledge to benefit the world, and her selflessness is an inspiration to all who, like her, want to be of some use in the world. And that was the quote that I used in my video for citing sources. I'm going to leave it in quotes because I don't want to change what she said. It's the only quote I have from her, and it just sums up her place in the world. She wanted to be of some help, or use, and she was, absolutely, and she was honored for that. I meant to add it, and I'll talk about it down here. So if you're not sure what to put for here are some suggestions. What has this person done for the world or their field? Because hers is the field of medicine, but it ended up affecting the whole world, right? But you might be choosing somebody in a very specific industry. So that was why I put the word field. Did they inspire others to continue researching, inventing, or innovating? I mean, just think what Walt Disney's legacy has done, or Martin Luther King Jr.'s legacy of civil rights and helping people to be equal and to demonstrate in a peaceful way. So you can think about their legacy. Have they inspired others? Absolutely. Are they a role model? I would say, I didn't go into too much of it, but Jean McNamara, was a doctor at the turn of the century, so early 1900s. She was a female doctor. That's incredible. She was a pioneer in the polio epidemic. That's a big deal. Hopefully nowadays we're like, what? Female doctor? Not a big deal because we have so many. But women like her had to fight for that. They had to kind of pave that way for women. So I could go on to that. I didn't in this paragraph, but I could. What would the world be like without them? Now, for her, I'm assuming some other doctor would have figured out that there were multiple strains of polio. But in other fields, I don't know if we would have had a Walt Disney if he didn't come up with that. There are other people that you guys are researching that there might be a gap in the world without people like them. If we think of, Bill Gates or Steve Jobs, they definitely affected the technology age. So just a couple of ideas. This is where you could definitely end with a quote. I ended with a quote from her, but I could have found a quote by somebody else. Honors. I would think, since this is just my plan and not even my rough draft yet, I would go back and add that she was even honored by Google for her contributions to the world. She had a Google Doodle made out of what she did for the world. What more of a recognition can you get than that? Just kidding. I'm being a little facetious, but that's how I found out about her. So that was really neat. So that's where you get to really talk about what your person's done for the world, kind of why you chose them. Hopefully you know more about them now than you did before you researched them. So this should be 5 sentences minimum. Let's see, how many did I end up with? I have 1. This one's 3, so that's 4, 5, and 6. Okay, pretty basic. It should not be a teeny tiny paragraph. These should be some complex sentences. I want to see words or phrases like even though, ultimately, due to their hard work, or due to their bravery or compassion. I want to see sentences like that because I made sure that you guys chose somebody that made a difference in the world. So really reflect on what their difference has meant to the world. Okay? Hopefully this helped you. If you want to, actually as an assignment, you're supposed to send me your conclusion on Tuesday so I can look for it or look through it and look for these qualifications, and I will do my best to help you connect the dots on your conclusion. All right? You guys will start your rough draft this week typing. You can send me whatever you'd like before it's due, and I can read over it for you. I just appreciate the hard work that you guys are doing. I know it's a lot to do, but I'm hoping to get you guys all prepared for junior high next year. You guys have a blessed day.